Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakhaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yuttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamscha Namom Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुवेव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। So dear devotees, welcome you all for this session of the Bhagavad Gita. And I apologize for last week's cancellation of the class because I was completely in an unconscious state. So it was very difficult for me to take the classes. I'm feeling much better now and much healthier also. So we had halted at the 31st shloka of the second chapter. Let me just remove this and yeah, so we're going to start with this. So this is a new section starting from this particular shloka. If you see, there'll be the Karma Kanda section. The whole of Karma Kanda section will be starting from this particular shloka. So, Swadharmam api chakshe chavikshya na vikampitum arhasi dharmyadhi yuddha shreyo anyad kshatriyasya na vidyate. Says that Krishna says that considering your specific duty as a Kshatriya, you should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principles. And so there is no need for hesitation. Arjuna was very much hesitant and he did not want to fight. And that's why Krishna is encouraging him that, okay, get up and start fighting. So if you see from 31st shloka till the 38th shloka, Krishna is going to explain the whole of the Karma Kanda section where Krishna is going to tell Arjuna that fight. By performing your prescribed duty, you will gain material enjoyment. If you do not perform your prescribed duty, then you're not going to gain any material enjoyment. You will be in a very sad state. So in this particular section, Krishna is refuting Arjuna's arguments where Arjuna is saying that no, out of compassion I don't want to fight, out of the loss of life I don't want to fight. So in this particular section, Krishna is going to tell that, okay, if you want material happiness, then it will come only by proper execution of your own prescribed duty or your own dharma. And if you're neglecting your own prescribed duties, which means then you'll have a material downfall. So whether it is in spiritual life or whether it is in material life, if you're neglecting your own dharma, then you will have a downfall definitely. So in the previous sections, Krishna is using the arguments based on jnana. That, okay, Arjuna, based on Gyan, because for the soul there is no loss, the soul cannot be cut, the soul cannot be, burnt, withered by air. So he's inducing Arjuna to fight. And now Krishna will use a little less elevated principle, which is Karma Kanda, which promises material rewards. And this section will elaborate completely on what Krishna is saying, that if you want to avoid the duty that will not lead to any higher planets, but it will lead to infamy. If you remember in the second shloka where Krishna had said that, Kutasva Kashmalamidam, from where about these, impurities have come upon you. So then Krishna is now going to tell that, okay, happiness will come. You will be happy only when you are going to perform your prescribed duties. And you will get material enjoyment only if you're going to perform your prescribed duties. So more elaboration on Swadharma and what is your own duty. All that elaboration will be done on in this particular section. So in this particular section, just a sec, I'll just share this screen with you all. Yeah, the second one. Yatrichaya chopanna swargadvaram apavritam sukhina kshatriya partha labhante yuddham idrisham. So he's saying, O Partha, happy are the Kshatriyas to whom such fighting opportunities come unsought, opening for them the doors of the heavenly planets. So Krishna is over here saying that you will not do any good if you're not going to fight. If you fight, then only you're going to do something good. Otherwise, you're not going to do anything good as such. So Krishna, in the previous shloka is saying that, see, when you're fighting, what are the benefits of fighting? That though you're going to fight, there will be no loss of enjoyment, firstly. And for a Kshatriya, fighting will give real enjoyment. So even if you win, you will get a kingdom on earth. And even if you lose, there is no loss because you're anyways going to the heavenly planets. And if you're going to avoid fighting, that is, you're going to avoid, performing your prescribed duty, then you will incur sinful reactions only. So there are actually somewhat three sorts of losses that have been given. Loss of dishonor, ridiculousness you'll feel. You will be actually performing sin and you'll be gaining infamy also. So for a Kshatriya, if you see this social order that is there, Kshatriyas are meant for good administration. So if you see the literal meaning of Kshatriya, Kshatriya is one who is giving protection from any harm done to a particular person. Or the word Kshat means hurt and Trayate means giving, protection. So the duty of a Kshatriya is to give protection to the citizens, to actually apply violence for law and order. The Kshatriyas are meant for doing violence so that the law and order are in a proper, balance. And if there are any kings who are inimical towards the kingdom, then he's supposed to fight or he's supposed to conquer. And he's supposed to rule the world according to the religious principles. So Kshatriyas are never meant for, sannyas. So Arjuna is actually saying that, no, I'll go and take sannyas. It's better for me to go to the forest. So Krishna is saying that, no, Kshatriyas are not meant for accepting sannyas order. And the training given only to the Kshatriyas is that they are trained for challenging, because religious violence is very necessary at many a times, and they're trained that they can, even if they go to the forest, or even if they face a tiger face to face, then they can actually fight with the tiger also. So all these religious law books on violence, they are not actually acts of violence. So when you have animals in sacrificial fire by the brahmanas, so if an animal is sacrificed in the sacrificial fire, then immediately this animal gets a human body without any evolutionary cycle also. And even that particular brahmana also, who's performing that particular sacrifice, he also gets in heavenly planet. And kshatriyas who are fighting on religious principle, they will also get heavenly planets if in case they are killed on the battlefield. So the Krishna is saying that, see, the result of your avoidance as a duty of a kshatriya is that you will face infamy, and you will face sinful reactions, and these sinful reactions will lead you not to the heavenly planets, but it will lead you towards the hellish planets. So that is why he's saying that you fight, either whether you lose or you win, still you are into an advantage. So Prabhupada in the 32nd verse, he's saying that there are two types of swadharma. One is the material dharma or material duty. Dharma means duty. So material dharma or spiritual dharma. So spiritual dharma is attained after liberation. And material swadharma is like Prabhupada always stresses on varnashram dharma, where the duties that are performed are according to the religious principles of a particular person's psychophysical nature, and slowly that person will achieve liberation. But this particular material swadharma that is there, it is it is compulsory for human beings. Why? Because human civilization only begins from this point, because as long as one is not liberated, then these normal duties that are there, kshatriya, brahmana, vaishya, shudra, all these duties are a must, they have to perform. And these duties are ordained by the Supreme Lord. These duties are not ordained superficially, but the Lord himself, in the 4th chapter, the Lord will clarify more about this, that these duties are unavoidable, because when a particular person is performing his own duty, it is a stepping stone for spiritual understanding. Like, for example, a brahmana is supposed to give wisdom, a brahmana is supposed to teach the other 3 classes, or a kshatriya is supposed to fight, a kshatriya is supposed to protect, or a shudra is supposed to serve the other 3 classes. Now, if any of these 4, they fail to perform their duties, there will be a chaos in the society. Or even if somebody is performing somebody else's uh, uh, duty or religion. For example, a brahmana is performing a kshatriya's duty, or a kshatriya is performing a brahmana's duty, or a vaishya's duty. So there will be chaos in the society. So if it is done in accordance with the higher authorities, it will elevate one to the higher status of life. But if a particular person is not performing, and whimsically performing any duty, then it is not going to get him to the higher status of life. It is going to give him a downfall only. So that is why Varnashram Dharma, according to Srila Prabhupada, is very, very important, where you are performing your duty according to your own psychophysical nature. and you are performing your duties and not shirking away from the duties. Now, if I tell that in a practical way, how can this be applied? Okay. So for example, you have a house, you have husband, wife, you have children, you have mother-in-law, you have father-in-law. Okay. So the duty of the husband is to earn and bring some money in the house. The duty of the wife is to take good care of the house, cook nicely, take care of the children, take care of the in-laws. The duty of the children is to study and satisfy their parents, grandparents. Now, for example, if the husband all of a sudden whimsically thinks that no, life is meant only for spiritual understanding, life is meant only for doing bhakti, and what I'll do, I will not go to earn at all. Krishna will take care of my family. Krishna will take care of everything. Everything will happen automatically. For how Sudama happened, the things will happen for my family also that way. And if the husband goes and sits in the temple and day in and day out he is there in the temple, what do you think? Is he performing his duty? No, he is not performing his duty, because his duty is to earn, and he's the bread earning factor for the house. So if he's not earning properly, then how the house will run? Then neither the mother will be happy, or neither the wife will be happy, neither children will be happy, neither parents will be happy. Let's take the example of the wife. The wife's duty is to cook very nice food, offer it to the Supreme Lord, and give it as prasad to the whole family. Now, if the wife thinks that what is the use, of cooking, we all can have prasadam in the temple itself only, and I will go and just make garlands and do cooking in the temple, or I'll just do preaching in the temple, and I will not do my own household duties properly. The whole house will go, chaotic, right? Because the woman is the backbone of the house, where if she's actually cooking properly, the whole house is very happy. And it is very important for her also to be in a very good state of mind while she's cooking, because that only same consciousness she is, feeding to the children also and the whole family also. So if she's not happy, or if she's not cooking in a very good state of mind, then the whole family also gets affected. So if everybody is doing their own duty properly, then the whole house will be happy. Okay, so this is a very common example in the house. When you take a very practical example, you take in the house where, okay, husband shirks from his duties, or a wife shirks from her duties, so there will be so much of a chaos. And then where is varnashram dharma then in this? There is no varnashram, because uh, see, a particular varna or a particular ashram is a shelter for us to advance in spiritual life. Whether it's a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, or whether it's Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, or Sannyas ashram. These all are shelters for us to be into that particular shelter and perform our duties in accordance with the religious principles, according to a particular body, and slowly we will achieve liberation. Otherwise, all of a sudden whimsically acting and just shirking of duties and not performing either our spiritual duty or material duty is not going to give liberation at all. Be it material or spiritual, both are going to give us pain only. They're not going to give us happiness at all. And this is what Krishna is trying to say in this 32nd shloka. Let's see the 33rd. Yeah, Lakshmi Narayan Prabhu, thank you. By the mercy of all the devotees, I'm back again. अथ चित्त्वमिमं धर्म्यं संग्रामं न करिष्यसि ततः स्वधर्मकीर्तिश्च हित्वा पापम् अवाप्स्यसि. Translation: if, however, you do not perform your religious duties of fighting, then you'll certainly incur sins for neglecting your duties and thus lose your reputation as a fighter. You just see the next shloka, what Krishna is saying in the next shloka also. अकीर्तिं चापि भूतानि कथयिष्यन्ति ते अव्ययाम् संभावितस्य चाकीर्तिर्मरणाद् अतिरिच्यते. Krishna is saying that people will always speak of your infamy, akirti, and for a respectable person, dishonor is worse than death. So Krishna is actually giving his final judgment, regarding Arjuna. He does not want to fight. He's saying that, see, even if you leave the battlefield, before the battle even begins, people will call you a coward. People will tell that, okay, this person being a coward, he just went away. So Krishna is giving arguments to inspire Arjuna to fight, and based on both material enjoyment also and spiritual enjoyment also. He's giving on both the both the ways. He's giving arguments that, see, if you don't fight, then what will happen, and if you fight, then what will happen. So this is what Krishna is telling Arjuna. Let's see the purport also. Yeah, so my advice is that you do better to die in the battle. For a respectful man like you, ill fame is worse than death. So you should not flee for fear of your life. Better to die in the battle. That will save you from ill fame of misusing my friendship and from losing your prestige in the society. Bhayadranad Bhayadranadruparatam Mamsyante Tvam Maharatha Yesham cha Tvam Bahumato Bhutva Yasassi Laghavam. The great generals who have highly esteemed your name and fame will think that you have left the battle out of fear only, and thus they will consider you insignificant. So great generals like Dronacharya, Kripacharya, Karna, they all will, they say that you're a coward and they'll consider you as an insignificant. And thus their high estimation of your personality will go to hell. Avachyavadamscha bahun vidashyanti tavahita nindantastava samartha tato dukhantarnukim. Your enemies will describe you in many unkind words and scorn your ability. What could be more painful for you? So enemies will also, mock at you. Hato va prapyasi swarga jitva va bhokshase mahim tasmaduttishta kaunteya yudhyaya kritanishchaya. O son of Kunti, either you will be killed on the battlefield and attain the heavenly planets, or you will conquer and enjoy the earthly kingdom. Therefore, get up with determination and fight. Krita, he's saying, Krita is determination. Sukha dukhe same kritva labha labho jaya jayo tato yudhyaya yujyasva naivam papam avapyasi. He's saying, do thou fight for the sake of fighting. without considering happiness or distress, loss or gain, victory or defeat, and so doing, and by so doing, you shall never incur sin. So Krishna is saying that if you're going to perform your normal duties, you're not going to incur any sin. So see over here, there is a line. There is no consideration of happiness or distress, profit or loss, victory or defeat in the activities of Krishna consciousness. That everything should be performed for the sake of Krishna is transcendental consciousness. So there is no reaction to material activities. He who acts for his own sense gratification, either in goodness or in passion, is subject to the reaction of good or bad. But he who has completely surrendered himself in the activities of Krishna consciousness is no longer obliged to anyone, nor is he a debtor to anyone, as one in the ordinary course of activities. So there might be a question raised over here that, okay, Krishna is saying that, okay, I am surrendered to Krishna, then I'm not obliged to anyone, and I'm not obliged to my family members, then I can just freak out from the house. I'm not obliged to anyone. But Krishna will say in the subsequent chapters that even great souls like Janaka, all the Mahajanas also, they have also acted according to the religious principles. For example, Janak Maharaj was a king and he was very much devoted to the Supreme Lord. But still, he performed his duties as a king. He ran his kingdom very wonderfully in a very Krishna conscious manner. So, Krishna is not going to demotivate anybody. But over here, Prabhupada is saying that still, even if you're a king, you will still have to perform your prescribed duties. So if a king is given, this, that you have to perform your prescribed duties, then we are just normal human beings, right? We are just normal people who are just working 9 to 5 and we are earning our living and we are performing our normal duties. So now if you see that Krishna's arguments are, giving Arjuna a little boost to fight. And, they are a particular set of instructions that are giving him that, okay, you will get material enjoyment because Arjuna is identifying himself with his body. So Krishna is giving arguments also, based on material enjoyment only. And he is motivating Arjuna that, okay, at least you perform your own duty, you will go to heaven, you will not get infamy. And Krishna is ending this particular section saying that, okay, then you work based on the level of knowledge then. Okay, so at least fight for the sake of your duty. So in this 38th shloka only, Krishna is concluding that, saying that Arjuna should not make any decision based on, okay, whether it is happiness or distress, but he should fight on the basis of doing his own duty, his prescribed duty. And when a particular person does his prescribed duty, he will be purified. And if he's not going to fight, then it is sinful. If he fights, it is not sinful. But if he does not fight, then it is sinful. So, because Arjuna also previously had given some reasoning that, okay, fighting the battle, it will cause, people to suffer and prolong suffer. And if I fight and if I kill the people, then I will incur sinful reactions. But actually, Krishna is explaining that no, there will be no sin occurred because you are performing or you're executing your prescribed duties in proper consciousness. A Kshatriya is supposed to fight, a Kshatriya is supposed to give protection. So Prabhupada is also now telling that, okay, if you're performing for the sake of Krishna, then it is transcendental consciousness. Then there is no consideration of profit or gain, or happiness or distress, or whether victory or whether you will not be victorious. And Krishna is telling that you fight, Arjuna. Why? You fight for my sake. You fight for the sake of fighting, because it is my desire that this battle happen. So, Prabhupada in the 38th, if you see the 38 purport, he's comparing two consciousness. He's comparing the transcendental consciousness and he's comparing even the material consciousness. Transcendental consciousness, you do everything for the sake of Krishna. Material consciousness, you do everything for the sake of your own sense gratification. And the result is that whether it is good or bad, we do not know. But in transcendental consciousness, everything will be good only, because we are doing everything for the happiness of Krishna, or we are doing for the sake of Krishna. So Krishna consciousness devotee, he is beyond obligations, but still he performs his duty. So any person who is completely surrendered to Krishna and the activities of Krishna consciousness is not obliged to anyone. And he is neither anybody's debtor also. So debtor means we are not obligated to the demigods, we are not obligated to any people, we are not obligated to any sages, kingman, humanity, forefathers, we are not obliged to anybody. But still we perform. We still, today also, we respect the demigods. We actually give pindan to the forefathers also, so that we set an example in the society. If everybody gives up, then how will the common people also follow, right? So that is why we do Shrad, we do Pinddan, we do all these necessary, obligations that are there to our forefathers or to the demigods or to the people in general. So Krishna is saying that if you're acting in my consciousness, then it is beyond all mundane obligations. Krishna is actually telling this in this particular 38 text. So let's go to the next section. Now, from the next section, then Buddhi Yoga section starts, that you fight, but without any reaction, you fight. You will not get any reactions. So that is based on Buddhi Yoga. Eshate abhita sankhye buddhi yoge vimakshrunu buddhaya yukto yaya partha karma bandhan prahayasi. So Krishna is saying that thus far I have described this knowledge to you through analytical study. Now listen as I explain in terms of working without fruit of results. O son of Pritha, when you act in such knowledge, you can free yourself from the bondage of work. Now Krishna will tell on the basis of Buddhi Yoga. So see, over here. Sankhya means that which describes in detail, things in detail. Sankhya refers to that philosophy which describes the real nature of the soul. And yoga involves controlling the senses. Like when you do pranayam and all these, your mind will calm down. If the mind is pretty turbulent and revolving here and there with many thoughts, then it will actually calm your mind down. But the Hare Krishna Mahamantra will purify the mind. Okay, so Arjuna's proposal not to fight was based on sense gratification. Forgetting his prime duty, he wanted to cease fighting because he thought that by not killing his relatives and kingdom, he would be happier. then by enjoying the kingdom after conquering his cousins and brothers and the sons of Dhritarashtra. In both the ways, the basic principles were sense gratification. This is what actually even the previous shloka Prabhupada is mentioning. And then over here, Prabhupada is saying that this Sankhya has nothing to do with Sankhya philosophy of the atheistic Kapila. Long before the impostor Kapila Sankhya, the Sankhya philosophy was expounded in Srimad Bhagavatam by the true Lord Kapila, the incarnation of Lord Krishna, who explained it with Mother Devahuti. So if somebody wants to know about the Sankhya philosophy, third canto, from third canto, 25th chapter onwards to the 33rd chapter onwards, the whole of Sankhya philosophy has been explained. Okay, you all can go and read those sections. It is clearly explained by him that Purusha, Supreme Lord, is active and that he creates by looking at the Prakriti. This is accepted in the Vedas and in the Gita. Okay, this is a little technical. Yeah. All these individuals are working in the material world for sense gratification, a spell of material energy. They are thinking to be enjoyers. This mentality is dragged to the last point of liberation when the living entity wants to become one with the Lord. The last snare of Maya. Yeah. The last snare of Maya is that somebody wants to become one with the Supreme Lord. And then Vasudevam Sarvaiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha, fulfilling the ultimate. So now see, Krishna will now tell him about the working process of Buddhi Yoga or Karma Yoga, or in other words, the practice of devotional service for the sense, only for the sense gratification of the Lord. This Buddhi Yoga is clearly explained in the chapter 10, verse 10, as being direct communion with the Lord, who is sitting as the Paramatma in everyone's heart. But such communion does not take place without devotional service. Which shloka is it? 10.10. Mat chitta matagata prana bodhayantamas parasparam kathayantamas tishyanti cha ramanti cha. I think that is this shloka. 10.10. Just give me 1 minute. No. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajata priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenama upayantite. Yeah, this is that shloka. What does Srila Prabhupada further say? He says that. So see, thus the Buddhi Yoga mentioned in this verse is the devotional service of the Lord, and the word Sankhya mentioned herein has nothing to do with the atheistic Sankhya enunciated by the impostor Kapila. One should therefore not misunderstand that the Sankhya mentioned herein has any connection with the atheistic Sankhya, nor did that philosophy have any influence during that time. Nor would Lord Krishna care to mention such godless philosophical speculations. Yeah. Why will Krishna give a godless philosophical speculation to Arjuna? Real Sankhya philosophy is described by Kapila and Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. And one who works for the satisfaction of the Lord, only however difficult such work may be, is working under the principles of Buddhi Yoga and finds himself always in transcendental bliss. So, there is much difference between work in Krishna consciousness and work for fruitive results, especially in the matter of sense gratification for achieving the results in terms of family or material happiness. Buddhi Yoga is therefore the transcendental quality of the work that we perform. Quality of work that we perform. That is actually Buddhi Yoga. So if you now see, in this whole section, that one's consciousness will determine whether you will be binded in that activity or you will be relieved from that activity, and not that particular activity. The activity itself does not bind, but what is my consciousness while doing that particular activity will determine whether I'll be binded or I'll be, relieved, or I will not be binded, or I'll remain free from that particular bondage of that particular activity, provided I am under the guidance of the spiritual master. I'll be under the guidance of the Supreme Lord, and I'll act according to the Supreme Lord's will. So now if you see, Krishna has described jnana, he has described the difference between spirit and matter also, the difference between soul and body also. Krishna has described the activities of Jnana Yoga also. And actually, if you see the activities of Jnana Yoga, no, they are the same as those of Sankhya Yoga. It is basically an analytical study of spirit and matter. Sankhya Yoga is also same, that you are studying the analytical study of matter and spirit. And to practice, both of them or either of them, one must actually renounce all the activities and practice meditation. But Krishna, however, consistently is instructing Arjuna that there is another way also. And because he has told him to work in a renounced spirit, not to renounce an activity. You work that your consciousness will be a renounced consciousness. So you're not attached to that particular activity, and you do it for my sake. So if you see, Krishna has a very nice motivating strategy to convince Arjuna to fight. Throughout, from the 10th text till the 39th text over here, he is using different strategies. He's using the philosophy of Jnana, he's using the philosophy of Karma Kanda. Now he'll use the philosophy of Buddhi Yoga. So Krishna, where in the from the second chapter, Krishna decides to speak and motivate Arjuna. So from the second chapter onwards, Krishna is giving motivational talk. He's motivating Arjuna to fight based on Jnana, based on Karma Kanda, based on Nishkam Karma Yoga or Buddhi Yoga, you can say. So if you see in this particular section, that is from the 39th section till I think the 54th or the 53rd shlokas, where Krishna is going to tell him that you work on the basis of a detached, in a detached way. So the principle involved will be, detached work based on, you have knowledge, you have gyan, and you have knowledge of the soul, and you know the relation of the soul with Krishna. So based on that, you work or you fight. So, and Srila Prabhupada takes the same Nishkam Karma Yoga or Buddhi Yoga to another higher level of motivation. Srila Prabhupada says that whatever you want to do, you do it for the pleasure of Krishna. Either Buddhi Yoga or Karma Kand or Jnana Kand, whatever it is, you take it on to the level of Bhakti Yoga. Whatever you want to do, you do it at the consciousness of, on the level of Krishna, or you do it for the pleasure of Krishna and not for your own sense gratification. So Buddhi Yoga is like a, motivating principle where you work without any fruitive results. And where you say Buddhi Yoga, no? Buddhi Yoga means what? You can work, but you can still remain free from any bondage of work also. So there is no need to avoid any work, but you can if you desire, you can avoid a reaction. So, for example, I'll give you one example, and then maybe you'll be able to understand. So, for example, a particular person is doing some activity. Okay. Let's say that he's running a shop. He's running a normal pharmacy shop or grocery shop. Okay. So then if he is thinking that this shop belongs to the Lord, the shop's owner is not myself. The shop's owner is the Supreme Lord, and I am the Supreme Lord's servant, and I am running this shop on behalf of the Supreme Lord. And whatever I'm earning, because the proprietor of the shop is the Supreme Lord, I will offer the fruits also to the Supreme Lord. So now I am daily going to the shop, daily opening up the shop shutter. I open up the shutter. I say that, okay, the Supreme Lord is the, owner of this particular shop. I'm working for his satisfaction. And whatever little profit I'm getting, I'm offering it to the Lord. So then that's how you become free from the bondage of work. Why? Because you are working, but still you know that who's the proprietor, who is the controller, and who's the enjoyer. In this particular consciousness, if a particular person lives or does any activity for the pleasure of Krishna, then that work will not bind him. That activity will not bind him. Otherwise, that particular activity will bind him. So now, Gyan is used on the basis to perform the duty and not, used to renounce. Many people think that, oh, Gyanis, they're renunciates, Gyanis, they renounce. But no. Arjuna's desire was he wanted to renounce duty based on Jnana. But Gyan is used as the basis to perform duty and not to renounce the duty. So, if you see where Prabhupada in that purport of 39, he's saying that Sankhya means things that are giving, explaining everything in details. And that philosophy, which is giving the real nature of the soul, that is only Sankhya philosophy. And Krishna is also giving his, Krishna's Sankhya is like Lord Kapila's Sankhya versus the atheistic Sankhya. So what is Krishna's Sankhya philosophy or Lord Kapila's Sankhya philosophy? That is referring to or Buddhi Yoga or Nishkam Karma Yoga or Sankhya philosophy. These all three are synonyms and they are based on devotional service to the Lord. So real Sankhya philosophy is has nothing to do with any philosophical speculations. Real Sankhya philosophy or Sankhya philosophy to Buddhi Yoga is a detailed analytical description of the body and the soul. And why did Krishna make that analytical description of the soul? So that Arjuna, he could get Arjuna to the point of Bhakti Yoga or Buddhi Yoga. So Krishna is saying that only less intelligent people make a distinction between Sankhya Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. So there is no difference between Sankhya Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. This is what Krishna is trying to say. And that is why if you see the many other sections that are there, that will be, coming ahead also, that lot, you might get confused whether Buddhi Yoga, Sankhya Yoga, Karma Yoga, Nishkam Karma Yoga, these all, these all terminologies will come, but understand these all terminologies to be the same. Sankhya Yoga, Buddhi Yoga, Nishkam Karma Yoga, Karma Yoga. These all are to be on the same platform. Okay. So let's see ahead. This is a very nice shloka. I think this is there into your memorization also. Neha Vikramanasthosi Prattavayo na vidyate Swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayatah. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. So Prabhupada always used to quote this for encouraging the devotees that anybody has given even 1% of Krishna conscious activity or 2%, 3% per person, it is not lost. It is always there with him, even in his next birth also. And Prabhupada always used to say that why there is no loss or diminution in this endeavor, where Krishna is also saying the same thing, that any person who is working in Krishna consciousness, he's doing the highest transcendental quality of work. Why? Because he's doing it for the benefit of Krishna, firstly. And secondly, he's doing it without any expectation of sense gratification. And that is why it is the highest transcendental quality of work, anybody who is in Bhakti Yoga or Krishna consciousness. So why is Krishna saying that there is no loss or diminution on this path? Because it has a permanent effect. Buddhi Yoga will have a permanent effect. Bhakti Yoga will have a permanent effect. And if we see in the episode of Ajamil, so Ajamil's episode is that unknowingly also he had performed, and he got, and then even in 5 point in the 5th chapter of the Bhagavatam also. Just 1 minute, okay. Bhagavatam, I'll just remove Bhagavatam. 1.5.17. Are you able to see the screen? No, I have not shared the screen. Okay, sorry. Yeah. Tyaktva sa dharmam charnar bhujam harer bhajan apakavo tapathet tatho yadi yatra kva va bhadram abhut amusha kim ko vartha apato bhajatam swadharmatmaha. Saying that one who has forsaken his material occupations to engage in the devotional service of the Lord may sometimes fall down while in an immature stage. Yet there is no danger of his being unsuccessful. On the other hand, a non-devotee, though fully engaged in occupational duties, does not gain anything. Why? Because this non-devotee is acting for his own sense gratification. And this particular person was acting for the satisfaction of the Lord. So whether he is successful, he is not successful, there is no loss. There is no danger for him. So what is Prabhupada saying that in this particular thing that, so if one, it is enjoyed in the scriptures that one can relinquish all such duties and surrender unto the service of the Lord. Relinquish means to give up, okay? So if one does so and becomes successful in the discharge of his devotional service unto the Lord, it is well and good. But it so happens sometimes that one surrenders himself unto the service of the Lord by some temporary sentiment. And in the long run, due to so many reasons, he falls down from the path of service by undesirable association, like how Ajamil fell down, right? There are so many instances, like Bharat Maharaj was obliged to take his birth as a stag or a deer due to his intimate attachment to the deer. He thought of this deer when he died. As such, in the next birth, he became a stag or a deer, although he did not forget the incident of his previous birth. Even Chitraketu Maharaj also fell down due to his offenses at the lotus feet of Lord Shiva. But still he became Vritrasur and he attained, this. And Prabhupada is explaining the life of Ajamil. Ajamil is one of them. Initially he was a devotee, but he fell down in the youth. But he was saved by the Lord at the end. So the Lord is there to save. That is why there is no loss or diminution on this particular path. And even the Christian saying is, what profit a man if he gains the whole world and yet suffers the loss of his eternal soul? So, this particular Buddhi Yoga will save one from the greatest danger. The greatest danger means what? At least it will not glide you down to the lower species of human life. At least the next form of birth you will get as a human birth, and there will be elevation at least. It will not be a downfall. And that is the uniqueness of Krishna consciousness, that it will elevate you, but it will not glide you down to the lower species of other to the animal species at least. So if you see, there is a strong faith that Krishna consciousness will elevate one to the highest perfection of life. This faith is there. Why? Because if somebody is, Vivasayatmika Buddhi Ekah Kuru Nandana. So if somebody has this unflinching faith or trust in something sublime, then definitely he will not glide down. So that faith a particular person requires. Let's see the next one. And this faith has been explained even in the next shloka also, that what type of faith we need. Vivasayitmika buddhirekah kuru nandana bahushakha hi anantasya buddhayo avavyasayinam. Those who are on this path are resolute in purpose and the aim is one. O beloved child of the Kurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many branched. So see, a strong faith that by Krishna conscious one will be elevated to the highest perfection of life is called Vyavasayitmika Buddhi, intelligence. And then Prabhupada is mentioning that Shraddha Shabde Vishwasa Kahe Sudrid Nishchaya Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karma Krita Hoile. So this is the definition of faith. Faith means unflinching trust in something sublime. When one is engaged in the duties of Krishna consciousness, he need not act in relationship to the material world with obligations to the family, traditions, humanity, or nationality. Fruitive activities are the engagements of one's reactions from past good or bad deeds. And then see here. When one is awake in Krishna consciousness, he need no longer endeavor for good results in his activities. They are on an absolute plane, for they are no longer subject to dualities like good and bad. So, the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness is renunciation of the material conception of life. Very important, this sentence is. This state is automatically achieved by progressive Krishna consciousness. Renunciation of material conception of life means to enjoy this material world, to enjoy the senses, to enjoy, thinking that this material world is made for my enjoyment. No, it is made for Krishna's enjoyment. And then the resolute purpose of a person in Krishna consciousness based on knowledge, buddhi yoga, jnana. Vasudev sarva iti samatma sudurlabha. A person in Krishna consciousness is a rare good soul who knows perfectly that Vasudev is the root of all manifested causes. So now a lot of over here is being told about the spiritual master and yasya prasadat bhagavad prasada yasya prasada nagatu kitopi. So see over here what Prabhupada says that the whole process, however, depends on perfect knowledge of the soul beyond the conception of the body, not theoretically, but practically, when there is no longer a chance of sense gratification manifested in fruitive activities. So whatever activity I am doing, so I don't have to see that this is for my own sense gratification. It is for the pleasure of Krishna. One who is firmly fixed in mind is one who is not firmly fixed in mind is diverted by various type of fruitive activities. What does this sentence mean? It means that if I'm not firmly fixed in Krishna consciousness, okay, then I will try to find out different ways of my own enjoyment, fruitive activities. Okay, if I do this, I will get this enjoyment. If I do this, I'll get this enjoyment. I'll do this, I'll get this enjoyment. He will keep on hovering only from one enjoyment to the other enjoyment. Okay, let's go to the next 42nd and 43rd. Yamimam pushpitam vacha pravadyanti avipaschitah vedavadarata partha Nanyat astiti vadina kama kamatmana swargapara janma karma phalam pradam kriya vishesha bahulam bhogaishwarya gatim prati. 42nd and 43rd. Men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planets, resultant good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of gratification and opulent life, they say that there is nothing more than this. So this is all Karma Kanda section Prabhupada is talking about. Yeah. So if you see that this particular text, 41st and 42nd text, Krishna is saying that Krishna is actually mentioning about the Vedas to Arjuna. He's telling that you please give up, your karma kanda mentality or the idea of using, Vedas for many sacrifices that are pleasing to the demigods or which are giving only temporary fruits or which are just giving benedictions, because the karma kanda section, it is just saying that, okay, you do this, you get this, you do this, you get this. So, just temporary fruits you get or benedictions, like, you get good health, power, wealth, or longevity of life, or you get good sons, or you get some heavenly pleasures. So Krishna encouraged Arjuna to fight by appealing to him that you fight based on at least that you will get heavenly pleasures. But previously also Arjuna he's encouraging Arjuna to fight to obtain at least heavenly planets. But no, now Krishna will speak on a little more higher level, because Krishna starts from a lower level to a higher level. So now he's speaking on the level of Buddhi Yoga. And so if you see the difference between Buddhi Yoga and Karma Kanda, not Buddhi Yoga and Karma Yoga, but Buddhi Yoga and Karma Kanda. So Krishna is using good knowledge to sharpen Arjuna's intelligence, and his attempt to renounce the battlefield, He wants to renounce and he wants to run away from the battlefield. So he's avoiding that attempt also of Arjuna. So, karma kanda mentality is, why Krishna is condemning karma kanda mentality, because Krishna is saying that this karma kanda mentality is a less intelligent path. And only those who are, foolish, they get attracted to the, poisonous flower of a particular tree. And this particular material opulences that there is, material opulence, sense gratification, they are the biggest obstacle on the path of Krishna consciousness. So now Krishna will explain Arjuna that, see, you do not have the ability to distinguish between the secondary duties and your primary duties. And primary duty is actually pure devotional service. But still, if you learn how to distinguish, then it will not be an impediment for you to surrender to Krishna, or to surrender surrender to the instructions of the Supreme Lord. So Krishna is saying that this Karma Kanda section that is there, the 42nd and the 43rd shloka, it is a less intelligent path, and only those who have a small knowledge or less intelligent people, they will only go for this Karma Kanda path. And those who want temporary enjoyment, temporary opulences, they will only follow, and they will have this particular path. And these paths will just grant you some temporary material boons, but it is not going to give you something permanent. So some pleasures, where Prabhupada is mentioning in this 43rd shloka, is saying that maybe you will get some Nandan Kanan gardens, which is providing you some good opportunity of some damsels of, apsaras, or some beautiful women, or you'll get some somrasa, or you will get some heavenly opulences for enjoyment. But you're not going to get anything substantial enjoyment. These are all temporary enjoyment. All these heavenly pleasures are temporary enjoyments that you will get. So this is what Krishna is saying in the 42nd and the 43rd shloka. Let's go to the 44th shloka. भोगैश्वर्य प्रसक्तानां पयार्पित चेतसं व्यवसायित्मिका बुद्धि samodho na vidyate. In the minds of those who are too attached to sense gratification and material opulence, and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. So this is a very important shloka. That, see, those who are too much attached to sense gratification, how is it possible? And then because they are attached, then they are bewildered also by such things. Bewildered by such things means what? That whether somebody gets too much, then he does not know how to use it. And when he does not have, he keeps on hankering that when will I get it? When will I get it? And that's how he is actually bewildered, because he does not know the right usage of these material opulences. And then for such a person, then what happens is the resolute determination for devotion service does not take place. Samadhi means fixed mind. The Vedic dictionary, the Nirukruti, Samayag Adhiyate Smin Atma Tatvedham. When the mind is fixed for understanding the self, it is said to be Samadhi. Understanding the self means what? Understanding, okay, I am a spirit soul. I have a connection with the Supreme Lord. I am a subservient to the Supreme Lord. I am supposed to serve the Supreme Lord. That is called understanding of the self. That I am an eternal servant of the Supreme Lord. Samadhi is never possible for persons interested in material sense enjoyment and bewildered by such temporary things. They are more or less condemned by the process of material energy. Okay, let's go ahead. Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistrigunya Bhavarjuna Nirdvando Nitya Sattvastho Niryoga Kshema Atmavan. The Vedas deal mainly with the subject of the three modes of material nature. Oh, Arjuna, become transcendental to these three modes. Be free from dualities and from all anxieties of gain and safety, and be established in oneself. So see, when the activities for sense gratification, namely the Karma Kanda chapter finished, then the chance for spiritual realization offered in the form of the Upanishad, which is a part of the Vedas, as the Bhagavad Gita and the fifth Veda, namely the Mahabharata. The Upanishad marked the beginning of the transcendental life. And here also, Prabhupada is mentioning, as long as the material body exists, there are actions and reactions in the material bodies. One has to learn tolerance in the face of dualities, such as distress, cold, or warmth. By tolerating such dualities, become free from anxieties regarding gain or loss. Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitosna sukha dukkada. Agami payana dityasa tam tateksha bharata. Prabhupada is trying to say this in this particular section. This transcendental position is achieved in full Krishna consciousness when one is fully independent on the goodwill of Krishna. This is a very important statement. So, if you see in this 44th and the 45th text, that there are two obstacles that are there in our resolute determination for devotional service or bhakti. One is sense enjoyment and one is material opulence. Bhoga Aishwarya. Bhoga means what? Sense enjoyment, and Aishwarya means material opulences. So, sense enjoyment and material opulences are the two obstacles for on the path of this resolute determination of bhakti or devotion service. So, if we become fixed in our mind or in samadhi, fixed in mind means when the mind is fixed for understanding that I am the servant of the Supreme Lord and I'm supposed to serve. So that time, a particular person can get rid of this Bhoga Aishwarya. And those who are too much interested in material enjoyment and who are bewildered by temporary mundane things, so these people are, for these people, samadhi is not possible because their faith more or less is condemned by the process of this material energy. And that is why Krishna is telling Arjuna, you rise above this karma kanda. Krishna is telling Arjuna to rise above this, materialistic propensity, knowing that the ultimate purpose is to serve Krishna. So, Krishna is telling that you become transcendental to the three modes. To become transcendental to the three modes means what? To be free from dualities and anxieties for gain and, for gain or your own safety, and to be established in the self. So, Buddhi Yoga is actually transcendental to all these Karma Kanda rituals which deal with, the three modes of material nature. And that's how materialistic activities means what? They are involving, they will involve action also and reaction. You do some action, you get a reaction. And then again, it will bind you into the three modes of material nature and then create more bondage. So now Krishna is telling why to rise above the Vedas. Because all these actions that are there, these are contaminated by the three modes of material nature, either passion, goodness, or ignorance. And that is why Krishna is telling Arjuna that why to deal with these three modes also, because when you deal with these three modes, then there will be a gradual elevation on the transcendental plane. Means from the field of sense gratification to the field of service. So when you know that, okay, you are working, according to the Vedas, or Vedas are elevating a particular living entity to a little higher platform. So it is teaching, the Vedas actually basically teaches how to live this, how to live in this material world and slowly, elevate yourself or gradually elevate yourself. And when you finish with this Karma Kanda section, then the Upanishads will give us a little spiritual realization by, giving a section of the Vedas that it will help us to at least start our human form of life. Athato Brahma Jigyasa. So you start, inquiring that who am I? What is my connection with Krishna? And how am I a servant of the Lord? Where have I come from? Where do I have to go? All those, inquiries you start making for your own self. So Krishna is provoking Arjuna to rise above this karma kandi rituals also. And it is telling, he's telling Arjuna that you tolerate these dualities. You become free from anxiety. You establish yourself, yourself into yourself. And in this way, you will attain a transcendental position, which is full of Krishna consciousness. And because if one is fully dependent on the will of the Lord, and finally he will be, happy. And that's where Krishna is asking him to, rise above the Karma Kanda rituals over here. यावन्नर्थ उदपाने सर्वत्र संप्लुतोदके तावन् सर्वेषु वेदेषु ब्राह्मणस्य विजाननात्. All purposes served by a small well can at once be served by a great reservoir of water. Similarly, all the purposes of the Vedas can be served to one who knows the purpose behind them. So now Krishna is elaborately speaking on what are the importance of the Vedas, and Prabhupada in his purport is mentioning over here that the purpose of the Vedas is to know the Lord, the primary cause of happiness. So where over here he's saying that Sarvashijamriti Sanvishtam Matta Smritar Jnana Aponam Cha Vedesh Sarver Aham Eva Vedyo Vedanta Kritvid Evacha. So this is what Krishna is saying over here. And then the relationship of the living entities with Krishna is also mentioned in the 15th chapter, where Krishna is saying that Mama Vansha Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana Mama Shastra Indrayani Prakriti Sthani Karshati. And then again over there, again he's saying that the living entities are part and parcel. Okay. So he's saying that, oh my Lord, a person who is chanting your holy name, although born of low family like that of a Chandala, is situated on the highest platform of self-realization. Such a person must have performed all kind of penance and sacrifice according to the Vedic rituals and studied the Vedic literatures many, many times after taking his bath in the holy places of pilgrimage. Such a person is considered to be the best of the Aryan family. So any person who is chanting the Supreme Lord's name, he is also, best. This is actually Devahuti mother is talking to Kapil Deva. Okay, in this third canto. So one must be intelligent enough to understand the purpose of the Vedas without being attached to the rituals only. And one must not desire to be elevated to the heavenly kingdom for better sense gratification. It is not possible for a common man in this age to follow the rules and regulations of the Vedic rituals, nor it is possible to study the Vedanta and Upanishads. Okay, but Prabhupada is saying over here is the best purpose of Vedic culture is served, however, by chanting the holy name of the Lord, as recommended by Lord Chaitanya, the deliverer of the fallen souls. So by chanting the holy names of the Lord, automatically everything will be attained. So the highest Vedantist is the great soul who takes pleasure in chanting the holy name of the Lord. That is the ultimate purpose of all Vedic mysticism. This is what is said in 46th shloka. Okay, so now again another section starts, but this is an important section, so I will just push it on to the next class because it's a very important section. Still, Buddhi Yoga is only going on, but there are many benefits of the Buddhi Yoga also. Okay, fine. So I rest my speech over here. If anybody has any doubts, questions, queries, can ask me.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanavat Pranam. Hare Krishna Mataji, can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Hare Krishna.
Mataji, Varnashram Dharma leads only to liberation, not Krishna Prem?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. This is what Prabhupada is saying in the purport. Anybody else has any question?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah, Kalyani Mataji.
What is the atheistic philosophy of Kapila? Sankhya philosophy.
Outrightly rejecting God is the atheistic philosophy. They don't believe only in God, no? So that is the atheistic Kapila, who did not believe in the existence of the Lord at all.
Mataji, and in which you mentioned the cantos. When is that point? In which canto?
Third canto, if you see from the 25th chapter till the 33rd chapter, full Lord Kapila is explaining Mother Devahuti. She's asking many questions and he's answering those questions. Very nice section that is. And that whole section has been put into a book called Teachings of Lord Kapila. So even if you read that whole book, you're reading that whole section only. Main points Prabhupada is mentioning in that particular book.
Mataji, can we directly read that section?
Yeah. You can read. Yes.
Yeah.
Directly you can read. No problem. Yes. Anybody else has any questions, queries, doubts?